We are back with Real Talk with Aaron and Steve here on Steve Shetler Media. It's Steve and pastor and author Aaron Fleming. Aaron, what's up?
Well, it's a great day in Southeast Iowa, Steve, and I'm glad to be with Steve Shetler Media once more for some Real Talk, where we usually tell embarrassing stories about ourselves.
Exactly. And we have no problem doing it because we're keeping it real.
Keeping it real right here in Steve Shetler Media.
Yes, indeed.
Well, I've got some grim, sobering statistics to start off with this morning.
All right. Well, if we have to, let's get to it.
Okay, I'm borrowing this from a David Brooks column from the Atlantic magazine. I did not read the whole column because there was a paywall, and I was too cheap to read the whole thing. But I appreciate David Brooks over the years, and so I want to read just a couple of things that he had to say. Over the past 8 years or so, I've been obsessed with two questions. The first is, why have Americans become so sad?
Okay.
The rising rates of depression have been well publicized, as have the rising deaths of despair from drugs, alcohol, and suicide. But other statistics are similarly troubling. The percentage of people who say they don't have close friends has increased fourfold since 1990. The share of Americans aged 25 to 54 who weren't married or living with a romantic partner went up to 38% in 2019, up from 29% in 1990. A record high of 25% of 40-year-old Americans have never been married. More than half of all Americans say no one knows them well. The percentage of high school students who report persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness shot up from 26% in 2009 to 44% in 2021.
Okay.
So this is tough news.
Yeah, some you'd say sobering statistics.
Sobering statistics, and it's all about just the question that David Brooks was asking here: why have Americans become so sad? And it looks to me like the answer is because we've become more and more isolated.
Yeah.
Each one of these statistics is about isolation. And since we've been talking here on Real Talk about taking initiative and being creative, I just thought that fit in real well, because no relationship ever came about without someone taking the initiative to create a new relationship.
Yep, true.
Can you remember your first date with Stacy?
You know, we disagree on what the first date was. I swear we went to a movie with another couple. She doesn't think that was the first date, though.
What's her story?
I can't remember right now off the top of my head. So, yeah.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
I remember kind of the first official time that I talked to Melissa, who I ended up marrying, but I had to push back some resistance in that relationship.
Okay.
I was going into my sophomore year at Hillcrest Academy, and she was coming into her freshman year, and there was a road race a couple of weeks before school started, and she won her age division for the girls, and so she was sitting on the curb in front of the school, and I sat down next to her, and I wasn't thinking like I'm gonna ask her out. I had no romantic inclination whatsoever at that point. She was 13 years old, so. I mean, I was 15, but I was not thinking, oh, wow, what a cute girl. I was just thinking, hey, she's a fast runner. Yeah. So I sat down next to her and I started talking to her, and I was like, hey, wow, you ran really well today. And she didn't say anything. I was like, so are you going out for cross country this fall? And she didn't say anything. And I said, so are you like going to go to cross country camp with the team next week up to Wisconsin? It's going to be a good time. And she got up and walked away.
Huh.
So not our first date, but our first conversation. And I would say it did not go very well.
Yeah.
Now that's my story. I can tell you what her story is. Her story is she'd never run 2 miles before, and she was having an asthma attack.
Oh.
my point is here, Steve.
Yeah.
Every relationship takes some kind of initiative and to create something out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tough. Why is it so difficult for us men to take the initiative in I'm going to use the I word. Are you ready for the I word? Do you know what the I word is?
I don't know.
Intimacy.
Intimate.
Oh, don't talk about that. Keeping it real here, right? No, intimacy, that's a weird word. It just means that we actually are getting to know each other.
Yeah.
The real each other.
Yeah.
And we got to push past some of our fears as men, especially. We're just
Have to let our guard down.
You got to let your guard down. You got to face the possibility that someone, and I'm not just talking about romantic relationships here.
Yeah.
I did end up in a romantic relationship with Melissa, but I had to push past some things. Like maybe she won't talk to me. But I've compiled, we won't get to them all today, but I've compiled a list of 3-word sentences that we can all learn how to use to begin to bring the walls down a little bit.
Okay.
And to initiate some intimacy and create some friendship. We get weird about the word intimacy, don't we? Like, I still feel weird. How many of us talk about our intimate relationships with our guy friends?
0.
0 times do we ever talk about that. But really, even as men, I think we want relationships where we really know the real person.
Yeah.
And where the other guy or group of guys really knows us.
Yep.
So I've got a list of 3-word sentences to kind of open the door.
All right.
And the first one is every man's favorite phrase, I need help.
You've said that to somebody?
Well, no, but I thought it would be a good idea. Let me tell you a story.
All
It's
right.
a story about a time I got my van stuck. My parents were out of town, and they had a house out in the country, and they needed me to go feed their dog.
Okay.
And it was snowing. That's, one of those heavy, wet snow piling up fast.
Sure.
So I drive out this gravel road to my mom and dad's house, pull in the driveway. They kind of had a circle drive, and I parked with the back of my van about 25 feet from a ravine. Okay. They had a ravine running right along the side of their house.
Okay.
Or their driveway. So I park, I get out, I feed the dog, I get back in my van, and in that time, the snow was piled up high enough already that the van was just stuck.
Yeah.
Stuck. So what do you do when your van is stuck?
Well, you don't call anybody.
No,
that's
you
for
don't.
sure.
No. That would clearly not be the logical thing to do.
Well, and in your defense, probably back then, you didn't have a cell phone, I'm guessing. Cell phones probably weren't a thing then.
I didn't have a cell phone.
Okay.
There was a neighbor right next door to my parents' house, but he was a farmer. And as I've kind of spoken about on this show, I don't do machines. I don't drive tractors.
Yeah.
I don't fix things. So sometimes farmers are intimidating to me.
Sure.
Like, what's this guy going to think if...
What an idiot.
Exactly.
Got stuck in the snow.
So I clearly couldn't ask for help. So here's what I did. You ever get a car stuck and you get some
Yes.
friends and you rock it
Yep.
back and forth? Well, I thought maybe I could rock this car by myself.
Okay.
So I put it in drive and ran around to the back of the van and gave it a good hard push. And then it rocked forward about an inch. And then I went and I put it in reverse and went to the front of the van and pushed it backwards, and it went about an inch. And
I've never even considered doing this. This is crazy. Go ahead.
so I did this several times. Put it in drive, go to the back, give it a push, put it in reverse. And finally, on about the third or fourth time that I put it in reverse and pushed on it, it got unstuck. It got really unstuck. This car takes off like a rocket towards the ravine. So the smart thing to do would be to just let it plummet over the edge and collect the insurance, right? Do we have any insurance companies as sponsors? They're all going to bail right now. So that would have been the smart thing to do. But what I did was I ran and I caught the van and I jumped in so that I too could fly over the edge.
Yeah.
Real smart.
Into the ravine.
Slammed on the brakes, skidded to a stop 3 inches from the edge.
Wow.
But then I was unstuck and I didn't have to ask for help.
Was it worth it?
Made a great story.
That is a good story.
I didn't tell my wife about that for about 10 years. I'm a preacher. You may not know that, but I'm a preacher and I'm a little spontaneous with the messages. And one Sunday, that story just popped out. And my wife's eyes got real big. And then she just kind of shook her head.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So it's tough to ask for help.
It is. Yeah. It's just something inside of a guy that your ego and your pride and maybe your fear, doesn't want to ask for help.
But you got to do it.
Yep.
If you want to be known and you want other people to know the real you, sometimes you got to ask for help.
Yes.
I have discovered, though, this is the positive part. We sort of started on a sober, grim statistic note. But my experience over the years is that when I take a step to open up to somebody else and use simple little 3-word phrases like, I need help, that becomes a catalyst for other people to be able to say, oh, wow, that's okay to say, I need help here.
Yeah.
And then somebody else can say that too. And away we go. All of a sudden, we've got a deeper friendship, and that just becomes like a snowball. So, I'm just trying to think, are there some good environments to do that? What can we tell people practically? Where to go? What to do if you're looking for friendship that goes a little bit deeper?
Are you asking me that question?
Sure.
Where can we go? So what was the question again? Run it by me. It's totally fine. I need help understanding what you're asking me.
Do you see what Steve just did there? That's right. I think a lot of times for me, it's been a Bible study group or a group of men from church where we can sit down, read the Bible, go through a book or something together, and try to get real about that. Mm-hmm. So hey, if you're looking for a church and you're here in Sigourney, Be the Light Ministry is one of my favorites in town.
Yeah.
There's probably some other good ones. I don't know the town of Sigourney that well, but and Pastor Jackie has a show on Steve Shetler Media as well, right?
Yep.
So find yourself a church. That can be intimidating. If you haven't been to church for a while or ever, last episode we were talking about going out of our comfort zone to meet people when you're an introvert.
Yeah.
So that can be as scary as all get out. But see if you can connect with some men, or if you're a woman, connect with some ladies. Sit down, have a Bible study. Just talk about the real stuff. That's our encouragement for the day. Do you feel encouraged at all, Steve?
I feel encouraged. I was going to also say, it maybe not even a Bible study. Like I'm on the praise team at my church, and there's a guy that's on the quieter side, but he plays guitar, and he started playing guitar as part of the team on Sundays the last few months. And, him and I hadn't really talked before I invited him to be part of the team. And now he and I I think are pretty good friends. And we talk every Sunday and before and after church. So, yeah, maybe it's music that brings you together or whatever it may be. But, yeah.
I love
invite
that.
people to be part of your group, wherever it's at, whatever you're doing, and get to know them and get more intimate.
But maybe don't
Get
lead.
more intimate.
But maybe don't lead with that.
Hi, would you like to get intimate?
Well, this has been a good episode
Weird.
of Real Talk, Steve, but it's starting to get a little creepy in
Starting
here.
to get real awkward.
Oh my! Here we go. Every time we start to get close, then we got to crack a joke and laugh about
Yes.
it, right? All right. Well, thanks for having me on again today, Steve. It's been a lot of
problem.
fun.
And maybe I'll answer the door the next time you get. I was a little late to the door today, but that's not going to happen again.
All right.
Better host.
Hey, we'll see you all around, and we want to remind you too. If you've got questions about any of the topics that we're talking about, questions about faith, life, manhood, family matters, any of that kind of stuff, shoot us a message or say something in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And
Yeah, do it. You can
Yeah.
send an email to steveshetlermedia@gmail.com if you want to keep it more private. And yeah, that'll be good.
all right, we'll see you around soon.
All right, that's Real Talk with Aaron and Steve here on Steve Shetler Media.